We always think that burnout hits when things are at their absolute worst, during a crisis or some massive stressful change. But what if I told you the most dangerous time in a leader's career is actually when they feel on top of the world? Today, we're going to dig into this idea of the honeymoon hangover, why that incredible period of success might just be the thing that sets you up for a major crash.
So, to really get this, we have to start the story at the absolute peak. The highest of highs, that moment when everything feels like it's finally fallen into place.
Just imagine that feeling for a second. The announcement's out, your phone is blowing up with congratulations. You've made it. You've reached the summit. For so many leaders, this is the starting line. This powerful, almost intoxicating feeling that you can do anything.
Now, here's what's really wild about this story. For a lot of people, that honeymoon feeling lasts, maybe 90 days, a few months? For the person whose story we're following, this invincible phase lasted for 4 full years. That is a long time to be running on pure adrenaline and excitement.
And you can totally see why it's so addictive, right? You're just fueled by this cocktail of adrenaline, constant validation from everyone around you, and every new challenge feels like an adventure. Yeah, the learning curve is steep, but you're nailing it, proving you belong. It feels like peak performance, and, here's the key, it feels completely sustainable.
But here's the thing about honeymoons, right? They end. And when this one ended, it wasn't some gentle slope downwards. Oh no, it was an abrupt, shocking crash.
So for 4 years, the internal story was simple. This is the perfect job, and I can keep this pace up forever. There was absolutely no doubt, no feeling that something bad was on the horizon. The belief was that this high-energy, high-performance state was just the new normal.
And then this. The whiplash in that statement is so real. 1 minute, you are on top of the world, feeling invincible, and the next, it all just comes completely crashing down. It's not a slow fade, it's a sudden, jarring flip of a switch from your absolute peak to the absolute pit.
So the big question is, what on earth happened? How does a dream job become a total nightmare, seemingly in the blink of an eye? And this is where we get to the core idea of this whole explainer.
Well, there's a name for it. It's called the honeymoon hangover. It's kind of like the hidden timeline of burnout, and honestly, it explains this sudden crash perfectly.
So here's the official definition. The honeymoon hangover. See, it's not the stress of the new job itself that gets you, it's what happens after that initial chemical rush, that flood of dopamine and adrenaline finally wears off. All the stress that was being masked by the excitement suddenly comes roaring to the surface. It's like the bill has finally come due.
And you can really see the stark contrast when you put them side by side. In the honeymoon phase, you're literally running on dopamine and adrenaline. Stress is there, for sure, but you don't feel it because it's hidden by all the excitement. Then, the hangover phase hits. That chemical cocktail fades away, and the stress that's been piling up all along becomes painfully obvious. What felt like peak performance now just feels like bone-deep exhaustion.
And here's the science behind it. Think of chronic stress like a ratchet wrench. Every time you push through a stressful period without fully recovering, your baseline level of stress clicks 1 notch higher. You adapt to it, so it feels normal, but you're actually operating from a state that's more and more fragile. Click, 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 higher and higher.
Now, what makes this whole thing so incredibly sneaky and dangerous is that while all this is happening internally, while you're breaking down on the outside you look more successful than ever.
The damage happens in these tiny, almost unnoticeable ways. Your sleep gets cut short by just 30 minutes. You start skipping your morning workout. That 1 glass of wine you used to have to unwind, well, now it's 2. And the whole time, you're justifying it with that one little lie, it's just temporary. It'll get better once things settle down.
And this is the ultimate trap. The board, they're thrilled with your performance. Your team, they're hitting all their targets. Every single external metric says you are absolutely crushing it. There are no alarm bells going off anywhere, which makes it almost impossible to see the cliff you're sprinting towards.
Okay, so if the problem is basically invisible and the crash is so sudden, how in the world do you prevent it? Well, the answer is all about shifting your mindset from reacting to the crash to proactively protecting your success from day one.
And this right here is the most important insight of all. The time to build your defenses isn't when you're already drowning in exhaustion. The time to build resilience is during the honeymoon, when you feel strong, when you're optimistic, and when you have the energy to forge the habits that will save you later on. So, what does that look like in practice? Here are 3 crucial systems to build. First, you have to build a recovery, vacations, downtime, hobbies, into your calendar before you feel like you need it. Second,
Establish your boundaries around work hours and your availability while you still have the strength to actually enforce them. And third, and this is so important, find those trusted people who will tell you the hard truth before the natural isolation of being at the top cuts you off from honest feedback.
So let's end on this thought. That incredible, invincible feeling you get after a big win, that honeymoon phase, it isn't the problem. It's actually a great thing. The real danger is in mistaking that temporary adrenaline-fueled sprint for a pace you can keep out forever. So the real question for you is, are you using that amazing energy to build the systems that will actually carry you through for the long haul, for when the honeymoon is finally over?